back to Tethered and Whole. I'm Matt Weld, and today I want to share a story that changed me as a teacher and as a person. It was spring of my very first year of teaching, and two of my favorite students, yes, we all have them, stayed after class to talk with me, and what they said absolutely floored me. They told me that they felt I wasn't treating them the same as the boys, and that I was being sexist. Now you have to understand, my mother was all about women's lib in the 70s. She was a proud member of AAUW, the American Association of University Women. I grew up believing I was fair and unbiased when it came to gender. And so hearing that from two 12-year-olds, it shocked me. So we talked after class and we worked out strategies together. But when it came time to apologize, I stumbled and, quite frankly, I failed. I said something like, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I would never do such a thing. Please forgive me." Looking back, that wasn't an apology. That was self-protection on my part. That was me not fully owning my actions and shifting the burden back onto them. And I think most of us at some point have given that same kind of hollow apology. A real apology acknowledges responsibility. It makes a space for repair. And it commits to future change. It's not about defending ourselves. It's not about being excused. It's about saying, I value this relationship enough to admit where I've fallen short, and I value this relationship enough that I want to move it forward. But here's the problem in our culture. We use the words, I'm sorry, for everything. I'm sorry your mother passed away. I'm sorry I bumped into you. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry I lied. In those examples, it's the same words, I'm sorry, but each one had different weight. And over time, the meaning of apology has, quite frankly, it's been watered down. And in schools, apologies get complicated. Teachers apologize to parents for things outside of the teacher's control. Administrators apologize for what teachers say or do. And suddenly, I'm sorry, is less about repair and more about appeasement. It muddies the waters. A true apology should always connect to something that we are personally responsible for. Not blame shifting, not self-defense, not taking our guilt that doesn't belong to us and making it ours. In her book, Why Won't You Apologize?, Dr. Harriet Lerner lays it out quite clearly. She says, number one, a good apology never includes the word but. I'm sorry I didn't wash the dishes, but, because that negates everything that went before it, right? And number two, a good apology never shifts the blame. We are owning our own actions. And number three, a good apology is not just about smoothing things over. It owns the reaction, not the other person's feelings. Saying, I'm sorry you were hurt, still puts responsibility back on them. The better form to say is, I'm sorry I did this, and I will work to do it better. Reparation is another piece of the regaining balance after harm puzzle. After harm, what can be done to begin repair? Sometimes it's as simple as checking in later. Other times it's restitution or changing practices. But reparation is not about erasing pain. It's about showing sincerity, proving our commitment to do better. So here's what not to do when apologizing. Don't end your heartfelt words with, please forgive me, like I did with the two girls that came forward. That request may sound humble, but it's actually shifting the emotional burden back onto the other person. Apologizing is your responsibility. Forgiveness is theirs. True accountability means carrying the weight ourselves. Forgiveness is separate. It's their choice in their time. And that's a whole nother episode, by the way. We cannot demand forgiveness. So here is the hard truth. Sometimes, no matter how much we want or need an apology to heal, it never comes. Those words that we long for, the acknowledgement of pain, the admission of fault, probably and may remain unspoken. People may be unwilling, may be unable, or possibly even unaware of the harm that they've caused. And when we tether our healing to someone else's words, we effectively hand them the keys to our peace. We are giving them control over our ability to move forward, waiting for something that may never arrive. And so this keeps us stuck in a holding pattern. Resentment grows, bitterness deepens, and we live in the shadow of another person's silence. But our wholeness, folks, our wholeness cannot depend on someone else's apology. Healing is our responsibility. It comes from the choices we make to process our pain, to grieve for what was lost, and to step into life without waiting for someone else to set us free. This doesn't mean what happened was right or that the harm was minimized. It means that we choose not to let our future be defined by someone else's refusal to own their past actions. In the end, an apology can be healing, but it is never the only path. Sometimes the most powerful act of self-compassion is to release the need for someone else's words and to claim our own peace, regardless of whether they ever say, "I'm sorry." As I mentioned before, part of the issue with apologies is the fact that in many other areas, language matters. And maybe this is part of the issue. English lacks nuance here. We use the phrase, "I'm sorry," for sympathy, for accidents, and for real harm. It's no wonder apologies are misunderstood and sometimes trivialized. But at their heart, apologies aren't about words. They're about responsibility, repair, and respect. Here's what I want to leave you with. A real apology admits fault without excuses. It seeks to make amends, and it commits to doing better. When done well, apologies strengthen relationships and restore trust. When done poorly, they deepen the hurt and they erode connection. So learning to apologize with honesty, with humility, isn't just a skill for educators. It's a skill for all humans. And maybe, just maybe, it's the glue that can keep us tethered and whole. Thanks for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need the reminder. In the meantime, stay well, and I'll see you next time.